Okay, fine. In the previous session, we have introduced message shape. So this message shape is helpful for me to insert the data dynamically. Okay, so here with the help of this message shape, I have passed the input file information. Okay, previously I have used the disk connector and where I have configured connection, action, and operation. Now instead of this disk connector here, right away I have used the message shape. Okay, with the help of this message shape, whenever you are not having the data readily available at that point of time, you can generate some sample dynamic data and you can develop the logic here. Okay. In the similar way, here in the exception shape, I have passed the variable one and I have configured in such a way that it has to fetch the respective variable one information. That is nothing but related to the order related information here. And then here I have configured this message shape. So whenever I'm configuring this message shape here, I have taken some variables. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here I have taken execution ID. Execution ID in the sense for each and every execution, it is going to generate unique execution ID. Error date time. It means that at the time of execution, whatever the system date we are going to have, that we are going to fetch here. Okay. Error message. Error message is nothing but the message information, whatever we are going to get from the try catch shape, that is nothing but try catch message here. Okay. Process name. So if any error is going to happen, so if I'm able to fetch the process name, my task is 50% completed. Why? Because whenever we are working in real time, we are going to see very big landscape. So at that point of time, if I'm more specific about the process name, and if I'm able to fetch the process name, it is easy for me to jump into that particular process and to rectify the issues. And payload. Payload is nothing but at the time of execution, whatever the data we are going to generate, that is called as payload here. Okay. Now, here, so how to get the execution ID? So here I need to select the execution property. Under that execution property dropdown, we can select the execution ID and error date time. So here I need to select the respective date and time calendar, and there I have to select the current date. Current date in the sense at the time of execution, whatever the system date we are going to have, that we need to fetch here. Error message. Error message we can fetch with the help of this try catch message and process name. So by selecting the execution property, under that execution property, we are going to see the respective process name. Payload. Payload means at the time of execution, whatever the data we are going to generate, that is called as payload. So here I have selected the current data. Current data in the sense, the exact data, whatever we are going to generate at the time of execution. This is about the current data. Okay, till here we have covered in the previous session. I am going to save this and I am going to test the process once again. Now execution completed successfully. If I click on the stop shape, here I'll be able to see the respective error related information. I'm going to click on the shape source data. I'll be opening this document viewer. Here I'll be able to see the respective error related information with execution ID, error date time, process name, payload, and all these things here. Okay, this execution ID will be unique for this execution. If I execute this process once again you are going to get one more different execution ID. Error data, error message, process name, payload, and all these things. Okay. Till here we have covered in the previous session. Now today my requirement is that this is the first process which I have developed these many days. Okay. So this we should treat as first process. Now today I am going to create one more process and I am going to name that process as sub process. Okay, otherwise you treat this as main process. Okay, మనం ఈ particular process ని మనం main process అనుకున్నాము. Now I am going to create one more process and I will name that process as sub process. Now my requirement is that I need to establish the communication between this particular main process to the some other process which I am going to develop here. Okay, let's wait for a minute. Here I am going to create one more folder. And I will name this folder as sub process. Okay, I will name this as sub process. Now here I am going to develop one more process here. I'll select new component and then I'm going to select on create button. And then here I'm going to choose start shape of no data and then I'm going to click on OK. Now here I'll name this as sub process. Now here I'm going to use the stop shape. Now I am going to use the stop shape. Now I am going to connect like this. I'll save this. Now my requirement is that I need to establish the communication between this particular first process to the sub process. Okay. Now I need to establish the communication between this particular process to the sub process here. So whenever I want to establish the communication between one process to the another process, at that point of time, here I am going to use one more shape called as process call shape. Okay, so here process call shape will helpful for me to establish the communication between one process to the another process. And at the same time, whenever you are using this process call shape, if I execute the main process, from the main process onwards, I can redirect the execution to the sub process as well. Okay. Whenever I'm executing the main process, automatically I can redirect to the sub process execution as well. How to configure this process call shape? I need to click on this particular process call shape, and here it is going to ask you to which particular process you are interested to establish the communication. అంటే మీరు ఏ particular process కి communication establish చేయాలి అనుకుంటున్నారు. So here I am going to select that respect to sub process. Where is my sub process? I'll go to the respective folder, and here I'm having the separate folder sub process. And if I click on this here, I'm going to have the respective sub process here. Now I have connected that respective sub process, and then I'm going to click on. Now, as I have told you couple of minutes back, okay, if I execute the main process, automatically the execution will be redirected to the sub process as well. How means I am going to save this one. Now I am going to test this process. Now see here the execution completed successfully. Now if I click on this process call shape, if I click on the shape source data, here I'll be able to see the respective error related information. This is error related information. Now I need to execute the sub process from the main process. And ఇక్కడ main process execute చేశాను. With the help of this main process, I need to execute the sub process. How means? So I need to select on this arrow mark. Once after selecting this arrow mark, then automatically this will be redirected to the execution of sub process. అంటే మన main process execution చేసి from there onwards, I can redirect the execution to the sub process with the help of that arrow mark. Now the sub process execution is completed. Now if I click on the stop shape, if I click on the shape source data, if I open this document viewer, here I am able to see the size of 0 bits. Okay, I am able to see the size of 0 bits. It means that I am able to establish the communication. Okay, I am able to establish the communication, but I am not able to send the data from main process to the sub process. Okay, so the process call shape here, I am having some sort of error details information. But once after execution, I am unable to send the error related data to the sub process. Okay, I am unable to send the error related data to the sub process. But I am able to establish the communication, but I am unable to send the data to the sub process. Okay, now here one more rule is there. Whenever you are using the process call shape, and whenever you are going to send the data from one process to the another process, you have to make sure that you have to select the start shape of data pass through in the sub process. Okay, you have to select start shape of data pass through in the sub process. I am going to click on OK. I will save this one. Okay, I'll save this one. Now I'll come back to the main process and I'll save this once again. Now let's see the scenario. I'm going to test the process here, and then I'm going to click on. Now this main process is going to get executed, and then it is going to establish the communication with the sub process, and then it is able to send the data from main process to the sub process. Why? Because I have chosen start shape of data pass through in the sub process. Now this execution completed successfully. Now I am going to click on this particular shape source data in this particular process called shape, and then I am going to click on the shape source data. If I open this document viewer, here I'll be able to see the respective error related information. Okay, I am able to see the respective error related information. Now after that, I am going to click on this arrow mark. Once after clicking on this arrow mark, then this will be redirected to the respective sub process here. Now, previously I am able to get only size of 0 bytes. Now here, if I click on this top shape, if I click on the shape source data, if I open this document viewer, here I'll be able to see the meaningful information, whatever I'm going to get from the main process here. See here, I'm able to get the information from the main process. Okay, like this, I'm able to send the data from main process to the sub process here. Okay. So whenever you want to establish the communication between one process to the another process, you have to use the process call shape. And at the same time, you have to use start shape of data pass through in the sub process. And you can ask me the question, why I need to use this process call shape? Why? Because see, whenever we are working in real time, okay, most of the projects will be operating from different countries. Okay, each and every client will have their business operations from different countries. Okay, suppose if I take Infosys, they are operating from multiple countries. Each and every country will have their own business logic. So at that point of time, it is not possible for me to develop entire logic in a single process. So at that point of time, you are going to use the branch shape, and with the help of that branch shape, you will be redirecting to the respective sub process here. Okay, in the first branch, you will be selecting Japan. In the second branch, you will be selecting Germany. And third branch, you are going to select UK. Okay. First branch, you will be redirecting with the help of this process called shape, and then it will be redirected to the respective sub process of Germany and Japan. Like that, we are going to use the process call shape and we will be redirected to the respective sub process here. Now, whatever the data I'm getting here, that respective data I'm able to send into the sub process here. Now, I'm going to enhance this process further. Okay, I am going to enhance this process further in such a way that I am to send this error related data to the backend support team by using the mail connector and at the same time by using the ServiceNow ticketing tool. Now here I am going to use the branch shape and here I am going to use the 3 branches and then I am going to connect the first branch for the backup of the error details information. Whatever the error details I am getting into the sub process, the respective error details information I am going to send as backup into the first branch. Now I am having the second branch here. The second branch here, I am going to use the ServiceNow ticketing tool. Okay, I am going to configure the ServiceNow ticketing tool in such a way that whatever the error details I am going to get here, all those error related information I will be sending into the ServiceNow by generating the instance. Okay. So today for time being, I am not going to touch the ServiceNow connector. Why? Because before explaining the ServiceNow connector, you need to understand how to configure with the database connector and how to configure with Salesforce and then AWS and some other API concepts. And then it is easy for you to understand the ServiceNow connector. Okay. Don't worry, after a week or 10 days, we will come back to this process once again. Okay, after a week or 10 days, we will come back to this process once again. So at that point of time, I will show you how to configure this ServiceNow ticketing tool and how to generate the instant and how to push this error related data to the respective ServiceNow ticketing tool by generating the instant. Okay. So for today, for time being, I am going to use the stop shape here. I am going to use the stop shape here. Now coming to the third branch. Now here I am interested to trigger the error details information through mail connector. Okay, I am interested to trigger the error related information through mail to the backend support team. So because of that reason here, I am going to use the mail connector. Now I am going to show you how to configure this mail connector here. Okay. So whenever we are working in real time, most of the times we are going to trigger the notification through the mail to the respective support backend support team. And at the same time, we are going to raise the incident. Now here, I am going to show you how to configure the mail connector. I am going to click on this mail connector. Here, action is sent. Why? Because we are going to send that to the respective backend support team. So because of that reason, here, action, I am going to select send option. Now coming to the connection. Now in the connection, I am going to click on this plus button. So in the connection, you need to configure the host port details and all. Okay. So as we are learning here, I am not having the hosted port details readily available. But whenever you are working in real time, the respective host and port details, okay, the respective host and port details will be shared by the respective end client to whatever the project you are going to work. Okay. Suppose if you are working for Merck client or Cargill client, the respective client is going to share the host and port details. And some clients, they are going to share the specific username and password authorization. Okay, some clients, they are going to share the specific username, password authorization. So in order to enter the username and password of the specific user, so here if I keep the cursor here, it is showing that disabled mode. Okay, if I want to enter those details and if I want to enable this one, now here I need to select the user or password authorization. Okay, here I need to select the user or password authorization, and then here I need to enter the username and password. Okay, so all these respective details and information will be shared with the respective client. Okay, whenever you are working in real time, you need to interact with the onshore team. Onshore team in the sense wherever your project is going to be there. Okay, if you are working for service-based company, there will be the offshore team and onshore team. Onshore team in the sense the team members who are working under direct client payroll. Okay, you need to ask that respect to onshore team people, and they will be sharing the host port details and all this user authorization for username and password and everything. Okay. So today for time being, I'm not having the host and port details. So just I'm explaining all these things will be shared with the respective end client. Okay. You need to ask the end client at the time of project here. Now action is sent. Why? Because we are sending the data to the respective mail. So because of the reason here action is sent. Now I need to configure the operation. So in order to configure the operation here, you need to use the from mail ID and to mail ID. From mail ID is nothing but you are working in Boomi. Okay, you are working in Boomi platform. If any error is going to occur in Boomi platform, you need to trigger the notification to the backend support team from the Boomi platform side. So it means that whenever you are going to take the license from Boomi, Boomi is going to share unique mail ID for each and every client. It means that if you are getting any sort of issues, okay, if you are getting any type of errors or issues in the Boomi, you need to trigger the notification to the respective support team. Okay, so because of that reason, for each and every client, whoever are purchasing the license, the Boomi is going to share unique mail ID. Okay, you need to ask the respective Boomi team to share the unique mail ID here. Okay, this from mail ID is related to the Boomi mail ID, and to mail ID, this is related to the backend support team mail ID. Okay, suppose if you are working for Capgemini and if you are having the support team, so you need to specify the project name or some specific format and at the rate capgemini.com. Or suppose if you are working for any specific client like Merck or Cargill, you are going to mention the respective client mail ID here. Now subject here, I am going to pass error details here. Okay. So as a developer, your responsibility is that in connection, each and everything will be shared by the end client. In the operation, from mail ID and to mail ID will be shared by the end client. Now, as a developer, your responsibility is that you should know how to configure all these options. So disposition, attachment, content type, and body content. So in the disposition, we are having two options, attachment and inline. Okay. In disposition, you are having two options, attachment and inline. So what is meant by attachment? If I select attachment, it means that whatever the data or whatever the errors we are going to get here will be sent as an attachment to the mail. Attachment to the mail in the sense, nowadays, whenever we are going to see in month end, we are going to get the credit card bill statement. Otherwise, postpaid telecom bill statement. Okay. So you are going to get the attachment. Okay, if I take the credit card bill payment, you are going to get the attachment. In that attachment, you are going to get everything in detail. In the similar way, if I want to send the error details information as an attachment to the backend support team, here I need to select the attachment option. Okay. Suppose if I want to send as body of the mail. Okay, sometimes we are going to get the body of the mail also. Okay, sometimes some telecom operators will send you the notification saying that, hi customers, welcome to Airtel family. Your postpaid bill payment for so and so month is this much, like that. We are going to get the body of the mail. So if you are interested to have the body of the mail, you need to select the inline option. Okay. Suppose if I need both attachment and body. Okay, sometimes we are going to get the greetings in the mail, and at the same time we are going to get the attachment also. So if I want both body and attachment, at that point of time, here I need to select the attachment option. Okay, in here I need to select the attachment option, and then here in the attachment content type, here I need to select the text/XML, and when it comes to the body content type, here I need to select the text/plain. If I configure like this, I will be able to send and I will be able to trigger the notification, okay, as an attachment and as well as the body of the mail here. Okay. Now, what I need to send as attachment? Okay, whenever I'm setting an attachment, For that respective attachment, we need to have the attachment name. Okay, we need to have the attachment name. And at the same time, if I am sending something as body of the mail, I need to have the proper data. So what I need to send as body of the mail and what I should give the file name. So for that purpose here, I need to use the set property shape. Okay, here I need to use the set property shape. And with the help of the set property shape, I am going to configure. I am going to click on this plus button. Okay. Now here I am going to select the document property and here I am going to select the connector. Under connector here I am going to select the mail connector. Once after selecting the mail connector here I am going to select the file name. File name is nothing but whatever the attachment you are going to send, that particular attachment file name I can mention here. So here I am going to specify the file name as error data.xml. Okay, so by this you are going to get the attachment as error.xml as the attachment name. Now I am interested to send the body of the mail. So what should be the body of the mail? At the time of execution, whatever the data we are going to get, that is nothing but the payload. So payload is nothing but the current data. Now here I am going to select the mail connector and here I am going to select the body. So what I should send as body of the mail? So for that purpose here I am going to select the body and here I am going to select the current data. So body of the mail is nothing but the payload. What is that payload? Payload is nothing but the current data. At the time of execution, whatever the data we are going to generate, that is called as current data. Okay, I need to select the respective current data and then I'm going to click on OK. Okay. So in the file name, I'm going to get the error data.xml. In the body of the mail, I'm going to get the current data. Okay, like this we need to configure. So for time being, I have not configured anything in the mail connector. Why? Because I'm not having the connection post and post details. So because of that reason, I am going to keep that one aside. And here I am going to use the set property shape and then I am going to click on the stop shape. I'll save this one. Now, whenever you want to execute this process, you need to come back to the main process and then you need to save this one and then you need to test the main process. Once after testing the main process, automatically this will be redirected to the sub process once you select the arrow mark in the shape source data. Now I am going to click on this process called shape. I'll click on this shape source data. If I open this document viewer, here I'll be able to see the error related information. Now, if I click on this arrow mark, then this will be redirected to the respective sub process. Now the respective sub-process execution is going to completed here. Okay. Now finally I'm able to execute the sub-process here. Okay. No need to worry about the service now. I will be sharing and I will be explaining with the live data and where I am going to generate the incident by configuring the service now connector within a week or 10 days. Okay. Once after covering Salesforce database, AWS and API concepts, we will come back once again to this particular process and I will show you how to configure the service now and how to raise the incident. And at the same time, I'm going to explain you the ServiceNow ticketing tool as well. Why? Because some people might not be aware of the ServiceNow. So because of that reason, I will be explaining that as well.